Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors, treasure hunters, and everyone who enjoys discovering the hidden stories behind old United States coins. Today, we are taking a very close look at a fascinating piece of American numismatic history. Coin number 1. This 1941 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark, described in this video as being in black condition. With a claimed market value of $187, before we begin, there is an important point for collectors. The $187,000 figure should be treated as a claimed or hypothetical value for a special example, not as the normal market price of an ordinary 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny. Current published market and auction information shows that most ordinary 1941 Philadelphia cents are worth dramatically less, while exceptional high-grade or unusual varieties can bring substantially higher prices. PCGS, for example, records a $15,600 auction result for a 1941 Lincoln wheat cent graded MS68RD in January 2025. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is one of those coins that can look ordinary at first glance, but becomes much more interesting when you start examining its history, condition, color, minting characteristics, and possible varieties. This coin was produced during a fascinating period in American history. The United States was on the edge of, and then entered into, the enormous economic and industrial transformation associated with World War II. Millions of Americans were working in factories, agriculture, transportation, and other industries. And ordinary coins, such as the Lincoln cent, were circulating through this rapidly changing economy. Every 1941 penny therefore represents a tiny physical connection to an important moment in American history. Now let's talk about the appearance described as black condition. The word black is not a standard professional grading designation in the way that brown, red-brown, and red are used for copper Lincoln cents. When collectors describe an old copper coin as black, they may simply be referring to a very dark appearance, heavy toning, oxidation, environmental discoloration, or possibly a coin that has been exposed to chemicals or unfavorable storage conditions. This distinction is extremely important because color and surface condition can have a major effect on the desirability and value of a copper coin. A 1941 Lincoln cent was made from a bronze composition of approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin has a diameter of about 19 millimeters and weighs about 3.11 grams. Its original copper color can change dramatically over decades. A freshly struck copper cent can have a bright reddish appearance, but exposure to oxygen, moisture, chemicals, soil, handling, and storage can gradually change the surface. That is why two pennies from exactly the same year can look completely different today. When examining a dark 1941 penny, collectors should resist the temptation to clean it. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and may dramatically reduce collector appeal. A dark-looking coin can sometimes have attractive natural toning, while another dark coin may have environmental damage, corrosion, staining, or artificial treatment. Determining the difference requires experience and careful examination under good lighting. Let's move to the front of the coin, known as the obverse. The obverse features the famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces towards the right, with the words "In God We Trust" above his portrait. The word "Liberty" appears to the left, while the date 1941 is positioned to the right. On a Philadelphia example, you will not find a D or S beneath the date because Philadelphia cents from this period were produced without a mint mark. The general mint mark placement beneath the date is an important area to inspect when identifying Lincoln cents. The date itself deserves careful attention. On a circulated coin, the numerals can become worn, especially the final digit. If the coin is extremely dark, dirty, corroded, or covered with deposits, it may be difficult to read the date clearly. Collectors should use good lighting and, if necessary, magnification rather than aggressive rubbing. Never scrape the surface simply to make the date easier to see. The original surface is part of the coin's value. The reverse of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is equally recognizable. Instead of the Lincoln memorial design found on later cents, The reverse displays two wheat stalks along the left and right sides. Between them are the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum above. This classic wheat reverse design was used from 1909 through 1958 and has become one of the most recognizable designs in American coin collecting. The wheat reverse is one reason collectors continue to love these coins. Even a relatively common date can be historically interesting because the design connects modern collectors to the early and mid-20th century United States. The 1941 issue sits only a few years before the famous 1943 steel cents and the later post-war changes in American coinage. A collector holding a 1941 wheat penny is therefore holding a coin from the final years before the dramatic wartime changes that affected cent production. But what would actually make a 1941 no-mint mark penny valuable? The first factor is condition. Coin grading is one of the most important concepts in numismatics. A coin that has spent decades circulating through pockets, cash registers, banks, vending machines, and other transactions will naturally accumulate scratches, contact marks, wear, and discoloration. A coin that was protected from circulation and stored carefully can preserve much more of its original detail. The difference between a circulated and uncirculated coin can be enormous, especially at the highest grades. In a circulated 1941 penny, Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, and other high points may show obvious wear. On the reverse, the wheat stalks and lettering can become softened. An uncirculated coin, by comparison, should show no wear from circulation, although it can still have contact marks from the minting and storage process. Professional grading companies assign numerical grades based on the amount of wear and the overall preservation of the coin. Extremely high-grade coins can become much more desirable because relatively few examples survive in exceptional condition. PCGS auction records demonstrate how dramatically an exceptional 1941 cent can separate itself from ordinary examples. 1 PCGS recorded 1941. Lincoln wheat cent, graded MS68RD, sold for $15,600 on January 19, 2025. That result is fascinating because it shows exactly why collectors must distinguish between an ordinary 1941 penny and an extraordinary one. Published general value guides place ordinary 1941 Philadelphia cents far lower. USA Coinbook's current information, for example, lists typical values from cents in circulated grades into only a few dollars for many uncirculated examples, while its listed proof value is around $50. A professional examination can be especially important when the claimed value reaches tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you believe you have an unusually valuable 1941 penny, the safest approach is to avoid cleaning, polishing, scratching, bending, or otherwise altering the coin. Preserve it exactly as found and seek an evaluation from a reputable numismatic professional or grading service. Certification can help establish authenticity, grade, and variety. Collectors should also pay attention to the rim. Damage around the edge can sometimes indicate that the coin has been dropped, hit, or otherwise abused. Rim damage can influence grading and marketability. Likewise, deep scratches across Lincoln's portrait or the wheat stalks can significantly reduce desirability. Next coin, number 2. This 1953 with D. Lincoln wheat, penny in very fine condition. A coin that has been described with a market value of $153, zeroth. Before we get into the details, there is an important point for serious collectors. The $153,000 figure should be treated as a claimed or hypothetical value for an extraordinary example, not as the normal market value of an ordinary 1953 with D wheat penny. Current published references show that typical 1953 with D cents are worth far less, while exceptional certified pieces and varieties can bring substantially higher prices. For example, PCGS records an auction result of $7,475 for a 1953 with D. Lincoln cent graded MS67, while the standard 1953 with D issue is generally much less valuable in very fine condition. The 1953 with D. Lincoln wheat penny is nevertheless a fascinating coin and deserves attention from collectors. It belongs to the classic Lincoln wheat cent series that ran from 1909 through 1958. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent became one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The 1953D issue was struck at the Denver Mint, and the small letter D beneath the date identifies its mint of origin. According to PCGS, approximately 1,953 with D cents were produced, making this a widely produced issue rather than a scarce date by mintage alone. That tiny D is extremely important when identifying the coin. If your 1953 Lincoln cent does not have a D, you are looking at a different issue. If it has an S, it is a San Francisco issue. But when you see the D underneath 1953, you have the Denver version. Collectors should use a magnifying glass or good lighting when checking the mint mark because circulation wear, dirt, toning, and surface damage can make small details difficult to see. The wheat reverse is one of the reasons collectors continue to search for these coins. Even when a particular date is not exceptionally rare, the design itself has historical significance. The wheat penny represents a period of American coinage that ended in 1958, after which the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. The 1953 with D cent was produced using the traditional bronze composition of the era. PCGS lists the composition as approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a diameter of about 19 millimeters and a standard weight of approximately 3.11 grams. These specifications are useful when examining an old coin because unusual weight or physical characteristics can sometimes indicate that a coin deserves additional investigation. Now let's talk about the most important part of today's topic, very fine condition. Very fine, commonly abbreviated VF, is a circulated grade. A very fine coin has experienced noticeable circulation, but important design details remain clearly visible. On a Lincoln wheat penny, collectors will examine Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, coat, and other high points on the obverse. On the reverse, they will examine the wheat stalks, lettering, and overall sharpness of the design. A true very fine coin should not look completely worn out. The major features should still be distinct. However, the original mint luster will normally be reduced or absent because the coin has circulated. You may also see small contact marks, scratches, discoloration, or areas of moderate wear. A repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark was punched into the working die more than once in slightly different positions. On an authentic example, you may see remnants or secondary outlines associated with the mint mark. However, collectors should be careful because damage, die wear, shadows, and lighting can create misleading appearances. This is why a loupe can be one of the most useful tools in your collection. A simple 5x to 10x magnification can reveal details that are difficult to see with the naked eye. When examining the D mint mark, move the coin slowly under the light rather than immediately concluding that every unusual shape represents a repunched mint mark. Let's imagine you find a 1953 with D wheat penny in an old collection. The first thing you should do is avoid cleaning it. This cannot be emphasized enough. Do not polish the penny. Do not rub it with a cloth. Do not use chemicals. Do not soak it in household cleaners. Do not scrape dirt from the surface. These actions can permanently alter the coin and may destroy valuable original surfaces. Instead, hold the coin carefully by its edges. Place it under good lighting. Look at the obverse first. Confirm the date is 1953, then check the mint mark. Make sure you see a D beneath the date. Next, inspect Lincoln's portrait for wear and damage. Pay special attention to the hair above Lincoln's ear and around the temple. These are areas where circulation wear becomes visible. Examine Lincoln's cheek and jaw for flattening. Look at the lettering of Liberty and the motto. Are the letters strong and distinct? Are there scratches running across the fields? Is there evidence that the coin has been polished? Another simple step is weighing the coin. A normal 1953D bronze cent should be approximately 3.11 grams. If your coin weighs significantly less, do not automatically assume you have a rare error. It could have experienced corrosion or damage, or it could even be counterfeit. Weight is a screening tool, not final proof of authenticity. Collectors should also remember that mint errors are different from post-mint damage. A coin dropped on a hard surface may develop a strange shape, but that does not make it a valuable mint error. A coin exposed to chemicals may develop unusual colors, but artificial coloration is not necessarily desirable. A genuine mint error must have characteristics consistent with something that happened during the manufacturing process. This is one reason professional certification is so important when a coin appears unusually valuable. If you believe your 1953 with D wheat penny could be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, professional authentication can provide much stronger evidence than an online photograph or social media comment. Now let's talk about the history surrounding the 1953 with D penny. By 1953, the United States was in the post-war era. American manufacturing had expanded enormously during World War II, and the country was experiencing major economic and social changes. The Lincoln cent circulated through stores, factories, farms, banks, schools, and homes across the country. Next coin, number 3. This 1955 with D Lincoln wheat penny, specifically a coin described as being in blue condition with a claimed market value of $149, zeroth. This is an extremely interesting coin to discuss because the 1955 with D wheat penny is a genuine collectible issue with several recognized varieties, but the $149,000 figure should be understood as a claimed or hypothetical value for an extraordinary specimen rather than the normal value of an ordinary 1955 D penny. Current published references show ordinary 1955 with D cents at much lower values, while exceptional certified examples can reach thousands of dollars. That enormous production number is important because it tells us immediately that the 1955 with D date itself is not an ultra-rare issue. Millions of examples entered circulation, and many survived. Therefore, simply finding a 1955 with D penny does not automatically mean you have a six-figure coin. What makes an individual coin valuable is usually a combination of factors such as condition, color, variety, error status, surface preservation, rarity, certification, and collector demand. The 1955 with D cent was made from the traditional bronze composition used for Lincoln cents of this period. Published specifications list the coin as approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a diameter of about 19 millimeters and a standard weight of approximately 3.11 grams. These specifications are useful when examining a coin because unusual physical characteristics can sometimes indicate that further investigation is necessary. A bluish appearance can result from natural toning, environmental exposure, chemical reactions, photography, lighting, or possible alteration. This is why color alone should never be used to determine whether a coin is rare. A coin that appears blue in a photograph may look completely different under natural light. Likewise, unusual coloration can sometimes indicate that a coin has been exposed to chemicals or other substances after leaving the mint. For collectors, the most important question is not simply, is the coin blue? The more important question is, why is the coin blue? If the color is natural and the surfaces are original, the coin may have interesting eye appeal. If the color is artificial, chemically produced, or associated with environmental damage, it may actually reduce the coin's desirability. Now let's move to the condition described in today's topic. If the coin is circulated, its grade will depend heavily on how much wear has occurred on the highest points of the design. A very fine example, for instance, would show noticeable circulation wear while retaining considerable detail. An extremely fine example would show less wear, while about uncirculated coins would retain even more detail and may show only slight friction on the highest areas. For mint state coins, there is no wear from circulation, although there can still be marks from contact with other coins or handling during production and storage. The highest grades are extremely difficult to achieve because Lincoln cents were produced in enormous quantities and often came into contact with other coins immediately after striking. This is why serious collectors should never value a coin simply by searching for the largest number they can find online. An asking price is not necessarily a selling price. A social media post is not an auction record. A headline is not an appraisal. The strongest evidence comes from documented sales of comparable coins. And the 1955 with D issue gives us some fascinating examples of why this matters. PCGS identifies several varieties associated with the 1955D cent, including double die, obverse varieties and repunched mint mark varieties. PCGS also lists a specific D horizontal DFS 502 variety and a RPM FS 503 variety among the recognized 1955 with D varieties. These varieties are particularly interesting because they give collectors something specific to search for beyond the basic date and mint mark. A repunched mint mark can occur when a mint mark is punched into a die more than once in slightly different positions. This can create visible remnants or secondary shapes around the primary mint mark. But collectors must be cautious. Not every strange-looking D is a repunched mint mark. Damage, scratches, die deterioration, lighting, and circulation can create misleading shapes. Before calling a coin an RPM, it should be compared with reliable variety references or professionally attributed. The 1955 with D also has documented double die varieties. This is especially interesting because the famous 1955 double die obverse is one of the best-known varieties in the entire Lincoln cent series. But it is important not to confuse the famous Philadelphia 1955 double die obverse with every 1955D coin that appears to show doubling. The mint and variety must be identified correctly. Another important concept is eye appeal. Collectors often have strong preferences about how a coin looks. Two coins with the same numerical grade can sell for different amounts because one may have cleaner surfaces, better color, sharper strike, or more attractive overall appearance. For a coin with an unusual blue appearance, eye appeal could be particularly subjective. Some collectors may find unusual toning fascinating, while others may prefer traditional copper colors. This is why market value cannot be determined from a single characteristic. Let's also talk about the possibility of a mint error. Mint errors occur during the manufacturing process and can include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, and other abnormalities. Some can be valuable, particularly when dramatic and authenticated. But post-mint damage is not the same thing. If a coin was damaged after leaving the mint, that generally does not make it a valuable mint error. A scratch, chemical stain, drilled hole, or artificially colored surface is not automatically collectible as an error. This is one of the most important distinctions for new collectors. If you see a strange feature on your 1955 with D penny, ask yourself whether it could realistically have happened at the mint. Does the feature affect the design in a way consistent with a striking error? Does it match a documented variety? Is the metal displaced in a logical way? Does the feature appear on the coin's original surface? These questions help separate genuine errors from damage. Now, let's consider the possibility of a repunched mint mark. On a genuine RPM, remnants of another mint mark impression can sometimes be seen around the primary D. The shape and position of the secondary impression are important. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay with us for more detailed videos about Lincoln wheat pennies, rare American coins, mint errors, double dies, repunched mint marks, valuable dates, and fascinating coins that could be hiding in collections all around the country. And before you finish watching, go check your old pennies one more time. Look for the 1955 with D. Look carefully at that little D beneath the date. Examine the coin under magnification. Look for unusual varieties. Protect the surfaces. And never assume that the first price you see online is automatically the true market value. Because in coin collecting, the biggest discoveries often begin with the smallest details. The 1955 with D Lincoln wheat penny may have started its life as a 1-cent coin, but more than 70 years later, it continues to attract collectors because of its history, varieties, condition possibilities, and connection to one of America's most beloved coin designs. And that is the real treasure of coin collecting. Not simply finding an expensive coin, but discovering the story hidden inside an ordinary-looking piece of American history. So keep searching, keep learning, and keep examining your coins carefully. Because somewhere among those old pennies, there may be a coin with a story that is far more valuable than its original 1 cent face value.